Hello, hello, hello. Oh, I'm a little bit late. I'm sorry. Um, Hello. There's a lot of things I want to say today. Um, there's a lot of things I want to say today. Um, you know, True to form, my kyanite is splintering in my hand. So if you had seen my crystal class the other day, you can see that I was talking about kyanite being very fragile. It's for fracturing in my hands as I'm playing with it. Hello, Robin. Hello, darling. All is well. All is well. I keep saying that all is well because it is, but it isn't, and um, and I think it's important that we name that. And so there was a lot of things I want to say today. Let's sit closer. Um, because I think that it's important to understand that it's okay for us not to be okay. Um, and I look at my life and I feel like I am unbelievably grateful for the blessings that I have been given because I have been given so many. And hello, my darling Lisa. Check your phone for text message from me. I'm looking over there because that's where your message is. Check your phone for text message. And I'm incredibly blessed and I'm lucky and I'm grateful. Every day I'm grateful. I live in a house I love that I fought tooth and nail for a lying sack of shit bank tried to steal it from me. That's a whole nother story that you can read on my blog. I have two amazing kids that I am absolutely hilarious about because I love them to death. And they both got jobs. And I love to put this on Facebook, but they both got jobs at competing escape rooms, which just absolutely cracks me up. Hi, Phyllis. They both got interviewed at one place, and one got hired, and the other one got hired at the other one across the street. I think it's hilarious. They're both doing the same job at two different places, and I'm grateful that they. Hi, Phyllis. I'm grateful they have jobs. Um, I'm grateful that my parents are healthy. I'm grateful that we are healthy. I'm grateful that the places my kids are working is taking adequate safety precautions. I'm grateful that my husband and I can work from home. I'm grateful for 1,000 things I'm grateful. And yet I still want to scream and smash things and yell and cry. And I want everything to be okay, and it isn't. And this is part of the transformation that we are going through. And knowing it does not make it any easier. And, I said to my husband, as my moods have been all over the place today, um, it's we are feeling and feeding off of each other and we are cavitating off of each other, and I know I'm completely incapable of participating in the marches because I'm in my own house and this is how I feel. So knowing where you are and what your limitations are, and I don't use that word as a negative, but knowing what is right for you, what is best for you, and knowing where you can contribute and where contributing is detrimental. I used to work, I always did volunteer things, and I was always the one you could count on, and I would always, jump in to help out. I remember being a kid, not a kid, but like I must have been, I know I was out of college, after Hurricane Andrew hit Miami, and driving down there to help out. They were doing a truck, like a food place where you could bring donated items, and they were bringing in emergency supplies. And there were all these people to help unload the truck. And my mom and I went down to help. And the truck came with all the supplies, water and canned goods and all these things, and all these people were standing around as like men were, teenagers were unloading the truck. And I said, this is ridiculous. I'm a healthy person. And I hopped up there and we started unloading the truck, and it went much faster. And once I went up there, another woman came up, and we got the truck unloaded much faster. And it seemed like there was so much well-meaning and not enough organization. And it's not about that, but it is about knowing where you can pitch in. In Orlando, after the Pulse shooting, the center literally it's called the center, is the place that became Ground Zero in Orlando after the Pulse shooting. And I went there to help and to bring donated supplies. They had a list online of the things that they desperately needed, because this tiny little hole in the wall place that was a place for meetings and support groups and testing and counseling, all of a sudden, exploded. And it was still this little hole in the wall place that just didn't have the resources or the space. And so they needed lots of things. And I remember dropping off supplies for them and then standing outside talking to my girlfriend who worked there at the time, and a truck of supplies had come in, and it was parked where it was parked. It was unsteady in the sand, and literally while they were unloading it, the truck started to tip and it became a dangerous situation. The fire department came in to help stabilize the truck so that they could get it out of there. And just the anxiety that was so high in the people in the city, I was like, you know what? I love you. I got to go. And knowing, and even when we went downtown to be part of the protection for the parade for the funerals, because the Westboro Baptist Church was coming to protest the funerals of the 49. And people were dressed in those big white angel costumes with these huge wings that shield the crowd so you can't see. So protesters, they stand in front of protesters so that venom can't come in. And it was overwhelming, even just being at the back of the line and being just anywhere near the energy. And I feel like that now. I feel like, I was talking to my dad, and he has unfriended. He called me to say, how do I unfriend and block someone on Facebook? My dad, bless him, is almost 80 and he's active on Facebook, but he wanted to unfriend. And I found out from my mom the next day that the person he unfriended was someone that I knew to be a lifelong friend, but apparently things had changed. And then at the same time, I called my mom the next day after that to ask about some other man that I didn't know who was on my Facebook page and had my parents as friends in common. And he was unleashing all this vitriol on my page about my parents, about my father, and about me, a person I'd never met in my life. And it's okay to be not okay. And I want to say that over and over again, because I think we spend so much time, rightfully so, saying, look at the blessings, count the blessings, look at the trauma and find the blessing in it. And I believe that with all of my heart. I believe that it is incumbent on us to look at the shit we've been through and look back and find the blessings in it, because I promise you they are there. It's like the story of the two kids that they did a psychological test with two kids, and they threw them each in a room with a whole bunch of horse poo. And the one kid looked around and said, "This is horse poo." And the other kid jumped right in and digging. And he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "With all this horse poo, there's got to be a pony in there somewhere." And I love that story because I think it's true. With all this horse poo, there's got to be a pony in there somewhere. And I think that there are so many blessings that can come to us through this trauma. And I know so many of us are having so many different kinds of trauma. Some of us have lost loved ones to this disease. Some of us have lost jobs, financial security. Some of us have lost friendships over politics or just not over politics. Some of us have lost faith. Some of us have, we all are carrying some burden. And it is really important to stay in the light, but it's just as important to allow ourselves to feel the things that we feel. Because when we don't, we bury that down inside of us and it creates energy blocks within us. And so I want to lead the charge, and I want to remind you that right now, and I have written it down because there was no way I was going to remember it all. I want to remind you that while the time of the solstice and the solar pressure on our heads, so if you've been hot-headed, the time of the solstice has passed, that window has closed, but Pluto is in retrograde until early October. Saturn is in retrograde until the end of September. Venus finally just came out of retrograde. Jupiter is in retrograde until mid-September, and Mercury is in is in retrograde until mid-July. But we also have the moon in Cancer, and there's a lot of emotions that are revolving about that. There's a lot of emotions in that. And we'll talk more about that when we get closer to the new moon. But I want to say that as grateful as I am for my life and the blessings that are in it, and I'm so grateful for all of you that are sharing this journey with me, today I'm not so okay. And in my heart, I carry an enormous amount of grief for my twin. I cry for him every day. I miss him every day. Even though our relationship is better now than it was when he walked the earth. I cry for friends that have been lost, not transition lost, but friendships that have ended for various reasons. And it breaks my heart because there's a certain amount of just egoic stupidity on all sides that have caused the loss of some very long-term friendships that sometimes we just can't fix. We just can't bring people back from the other side, although as a medium I have more ability to connect into that than others, and I am grateful for that. We can't bring back a friendship when only one person is willing to come to the table. And so it's okay. And sometimes, often, those things happen for our greatest good. And so I look at, I've watched the universe over the last 3 or 4 years systematically weeding people out of my life and saying this friendship has served its purpose and run its course. And I have literally watched, and I tell the story occasionally. I tell the story of a very dear friend of mine that I had. We were friends since I was probably 21 years old. And about 3 or 4 years ago, some really strange things started to happen in our friendship. Every time I'd go back to California, we would try and meet up for lunch. And every time some drama would happen with his girlfriend, until the last time I was there that we were supposed to meet up. Literally, the apartment above hers had flooded and her walls had filled with water, and the electrical outlets were sparking and the walls were bulging as they were literally filled with water. And he said, I can't come to lunch. I have to help her. They were trying to move everything out of the apartment before the walls burst. And I thought to myself, I hear you, universe, and I know this is for my highest and best good, and I know that he is being removed from my life for a reason, and I know that given his choice, he would certainly come and have lunch for me, and I trust that there is a reason. I'm going to let this go, because if I continue to push on this, someone's going to get killed, and I don't want that to be on me, so I'm going to trust the universe, and I'm going to let this friendship go over there. And that's really what happened. And so I know that when these things happen, there is a higher purpose, that sometimes we hold on to those people in our lives because it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's safe, it feels good, they stroke our ego, they make us feel like we're always right. Even though it's not the healthiest thing for us, sometimes we hold on to those friendships. And so the 3 that I can think of that have really been on my heart, I have watched the universe take them away. And to be honest, I'm relieved to have the drama over there. But at the same time, our heart still grieves those friendships. And then we grieve the tangible, the more, I don't want to say it's a more tangible loss, but we grieve the loss of transition as well. So my heart is filled with sadness, and logically it shouldn't be, because I'm so incredibly grateful for my life. I do work as a director with Mary Kay. I have been with the company so long. It's such a gift that I can do so little work and receive so much blessing from it, both financial and otherwise, because I built so strong back at the time and when I built that foundation, that our fiscal year will end tomorrow and the company will gift me with a new car, and a new diamond ring and a designer handbag. And those are just three of the prizes that I know about. And several $1,000s in bonus money and commissions. And there is literally no reason for my heart to be sad, except my heart is broken today, and it has been for a long time, that we feel these things. And I look outside and I see, I'm grateful my boys have jobs that are safe and that are going to give them something to do. And Eli's job it gives him an opportunity for growth. And for Dylan, it's a great place for him to be until the hotel's open and he can go back to parking cars, because he really likes doing that. But it's okay for us to be sad. It is part of the metamorphosis. We've been talking about this change for weeks. We've been talking about this transformation of ourselves, of our society. We've talked about change. We've talked about the civil unrest. We've talked about the purposes that it serves. And I think it's so important to understand that, we talked about being change averse. Change hurts. Change hurts. And it's difficult to say goodbye to the life that we knew. And I think that for a lot of us, that is where the grief comes from, especially as we watch the numbers continue to rise and rise and rise. That is so much of where the grief comes from, is that desire to get back to normal in our lives, even though we know that that will never really be, that we will come to adapt to a new normal. And I watch all the vitriol that is flying around about wear a mask, and just wear the dang mask. But I remember, if you're my age or older, in this country, and you will remember the seatbelt wars. And the seatbelt wars were exactly the same thing. You can't tell me what to do in my car. It's my space. You can't tell me, you're controlling me. The government has no right. The seatbelt wars were literally exactly the same arguments. Exactly. And it was proven that seatbelts save lives, they save money, they save everything, that they made a difference. And this is exactly the same. So I think part of that is just every once in a while, when we stand on the front lines, even when we stand on the back lines with our light, and we hold up our light to the world and we say, I'm shining my light for you. Every once in a while, it's okay to dim it down and go sit under a tree and say, I need a day. And that is okay, because we feel so many feelings. And especially in this society that we live in with social media and instant information, it can be really like a roller coaster at Universal to feel all the things that we are capable of feeling in a single day. And so I am grateful, to add to my list of things I am grateful for all of the herbal supplements that I take that help me from keeping my head from exploding in the day. So it's not an apology, but I thank you, Robin, because your heart is always so dear to me. It isn't an apology, because I don't think we should have to apologize for feeling the way that we feel. But I do think we do, and that we always have to be sunshine, and that it's important to say, I believe with all my heart, I believe that there are blessings in the trauma, in the drama, in the metamorphosis, in the pile of horse poo. I believe that there is a pony in there. I do. That doesn't mean that looking for the pony is going to be fun or easy. So sometimes we've got to slog through the stuff. And if you are familiar, it's an old movie now, but it's an amazing movie, The Shawshank Redemption. I love you too, sweetheart. With Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Is amazing movie, The Shawshank Redemption. But the story of how he escapes the prison, of how he crawls through the sewer, the pipes to get to freedom, and how unbelievably difficult that must have been. It is really an amazing thing, because we are capable of doing so much and surviving so much and getting through so much when we know that there is a blessing waiting for us on the other side. And so for everything that we are carrying, all of us, let's remember that there is absolutely freedom and blessing and hope and change on the other side of this. The universe is never wrong. The universe is never, ever wrong. I want to share with you two quick stories, and we're going to get to the cards. So this thing about my kids getting a job, it just continues to giggle me, because the one place, the escape room, it's a small company. They have one location, but they're expanding. They're trying to expand. They want to expand, and we thought, oh, this would be really great, because Eli get in on the ground floor, and he'd be able to be part of the expansion, and wouldn't that be perfect timing, and blah blah blah. And it turns out that this place, because this is where Dylan got hired. Eli didn't get hired there. Dylan got hired there, and it turns out that they're a little disorganized, and they're a little oddly managed, and there's not really a corporate structure there, and that's okay. And it's perfect for Dylan and his more laid-back personality. Eli got called for an interview for the corporate place, a bigger place that you've probably heard of, called the Escape Room, the original. They have locations all over the country. Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you very much. You decided everyone is not being real. And I love you. Thank you so much. I don't share these things to gain support. I share these things because I want you to know that that we are all in the same boat. And I did share that meme today, that we are all in the same boat. And sometimes you're the high road guy being, I'm glad it's not me. And sometimes you're the low road guy going, this fucking sucks, and you're bailing for all you're worth. But we're all still in the same boat. So thank you. So it really sucks that we can't gather. That's really the heartbreak, is that we can't gather. So Eli gets called to this other escape room, this bigger company. They've got like 20 locations around the country, and the store that's here in Orlando is the flagship location. And they are expanding. They've literally are expanding. They are not hoping to expand. They have taken over the building next door, and they are in the process of remodeling that. And all of the managers of the other locations have come out of this store. So there actually really is a path to leadership for him there. And the guy offered him a job right there in the room. So it's and it gives me a giggle, because when he didn't get the first job and Dylan did, I had a little bit of heartbreak as a mama, right? I had a little bit of heartbreak to be like, Eli's a college graduate. He's the one who needs a job to start his future, and we want a place where he could grow, and da da da. And I put it out to the universe, please help my boy, get his first job where he can have a place where he can grow. And the universe is always correct, because they had an escape room in mind for him, just a different one. And so now my boys are both working at escape rooms, and they're both working at the place that's perfectly right for them. And it just makes me giggle, because the universe absolutely knew the right thing. The other story I want to tell very quickly is about unemployment. So I'm an independent contractor. I'm a director with Mary Kay, and I do this work. And so I 1099. I do not have a W-2 to save my name. I can't think I've had a W-2 in probably 20 years, probably 22 years, coming up on 23 years. And so there was not going to be an opportunity for me to claim unemployment or get unemployment in any of this. I probably could maybe have filed. What they're giving in my state is $125 a week if you're an independent contractor. Okay, I'm making more than that through Mary Kay, and I'm still working with that, and I'm still getting paid through Mary Kay, so I don't think I really would qualify, so I didn't bother. My husband, who is an independent contractor who works all over the world, had one job that was giant pain in the butt to get it off the ground, because they insisted they pay him as an employee. And we were like, you have to do a W-2. We haven't filled out a W-2 for you in years. One job last year that was a huge pain in the butt. It was not even a huge amount of money. Like, it wasn't a lot of days. It wasn't a big job, but they insisted they pay him as an employee. And that one job is the reason that he was able to qualify for unemployment now, when he would need it. The universe always, always has a plan. The universe always has a plan. And so I bring that back around to whatever it is that you're feeling now, because with the moon moving into Cancer and all these planets in retrograde, there's all the feels right now. There is all the feels, so many of the feels. And so what you are feeling right now is valid. It is true. It is real. It is yours. It is to be respected. It is to be acknowledged. And just feel it. Allow it. We bury our feelings. It's not healthy. It's not good for us. It's not good for those around us. When we bury our feelings, we lash out at others. Allow yourself to feel the feelings, but don't live there. Don't live there. And so I have my book. I have a gratitude journal. And to be honest, if those of you who follow me, you know I have a journal for everything. And so I have a gratitude journal. And I also have a journal where I write things to the friends that I mentioned, the friendships that are lost. I write things to those people, things that I would love to tell them in person, but I just can't. I will write them in that book. And then I also have a journal for my twin, places I can write things to him so he knows what I'm thinking, because I know he knows and he can read it, but I can't say it to him anymore. There's no point to emailing him. There's no point to calling him because he's no longer here on the earth plane. So having the journal that allows me to express my feelings and get it out in a place that's safe and private, where I can release those things and then take that outside to my beautiful tree and stand in the grass and ground and release those things that no longer serve me. It's important to understand also that a lot of what we feel is not necessarily ours, that we are feeling things that belong to the collective, and it's meant to bring up things in ourselves that we are meant to heal and acknowledge. So if you are having a day like me the last couple of days, just allow. So yesterday I didn't feel, I spent the morning in my happy place at the springs with the manatees, protecting the manatees, and we actually had a couple of a young manatee we've been watching, and he came back again, and so I was doing my job and having a great time with that, picking up too much trash out of those springs. That made me sad, but I was grateful to be there, to be able to pull all that crap out of the water. And then I came home and I floated in my pool because I'm blessed to have a swimming pool, and literally a $3 floaty that is kind of a piece of a larger floaty, and I just laid on my floaty in the water with my hands, and I just sat and I just allowed. Hello, my friend Elias. And I just allowed. And allow yourself to feel the feels. Don't bury them. Get them out in some way. Talk to yourself. I spent time floating in my pool yesterday talking with my twin. And that was super helpful because I was able to just talk. And I don't have to talk to him out loud. I can just talk in my mind because I know he can hear me. And just be grateful, but don't spend so much time being like, it's all okay, because some days it's just not. And that's okay too. Well, I feel better. Talking with good friends makes a big difference. Talking with our friends, sharing, even if we can't share time face to face. And sometimes that is really depressing when we can't share the time face to face. It can create, Robin's absolutely right, it can create so much more frustration and sadness when we can't spend time with our friends face to face, and we can't hug them, and we can't. And sometimes the things that we can't make us forget the things that we can. So I am grateful for you. I am grateful to be able to share my thoughts, my feelings, to share the dark place that I find myself in for the last few days. Thank you, love. Sending you love right back, my friend Elias. Love you. I love you all. I'm so grateful for all of you to be here with me and to spend some time. And just let me have the opportunity to process through some things that I know I'm dealing with and that maybe that you're dealing with too. So the goddess today... The goddess today, I do. I love that we talk first and then we do cards afterwards. And this is when I do my own readings. This is really how I do it. We talk first because the cards are such confirmation. I think when you pull the cards first, you miss the opportunity for the cards to show you their magic. And so the card today is Kuan Yin, and she is all about compassion. Compassion. Isn't that amazing? Compassion. Because, and I will read you what Kuan Yin has to say, but I do, when I do my own personal readings with my clients, I do, if we are doing cards, I will connect with them and tell them what I'm feeling, what I'm getting, all the information that I have for them. And then I will pull the cards afterwards, because the cards are such an incredible confirmation of what is actually going on. And I think that that's just it really allows the cards to show their magic. Compassion is what's needed right now to help you release perfectionism and defensiveness. The purpose of compassion is to help reduce suffering in the world. So be mindful not to judge yourself or others too harshly as you stumble through life's obstacle course. In fact, tuning into the energy of compassion and kindness almost instantly eradicates the stirred up energy of controlling thoughts and knee-jerk behaviors. The Chinese goddess of compassion, Kuan Yin, offers a gentle nudge to ask yourself this question: what would kindness do in this situation? What would kindness do in this situation? I think that is really important. So we have Kuan Yin with compassion. So we will start there. Oh, thank you, Kaya. I really do try to be so transparent. I really do. I try and lead with love. I try and lead with transparency, because I think it's, you know, for those of us that are privileged and lucky enough to be in places where we have a platform, even a small platform or a large platform especially, I think it's so important that we lead with transparency and that people understand that we are the same. I spent a lot of time, I worked for a lot of years in TV and movie production in LA. I worked on a lot of movies and TV shows, and I worked with a lot of celebrities, people who became famous before they were famous, after they were done being famous. And it's really, we forget when we have people who are leading the way in something, even, like I said, even just a small soapbox, we forget that they are people just like us. And it is so important to lead with transparency. For me, progress, not perfection. Amen. Amen. I know that's a 12-step thing. I think it is brilliant. Progress, not perfection. Absolutely. And I teach that too. So I think it's so important to understand, and we need what we need. In my opinion, one of the things that we need is much more transparency in our leadership. And so if we are in the position to lead, then it is on us to carry the torch of transparency and to lead from that place of complete honesty, because it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to have a rough day, and you don't have to embroil everybody in it, but you can share that honesty, share that transparency, and let others know that what they are feeling and what they are going through is valid and is worthy of acknowledgement. And so, hello, Claudette. And so I say, whatever it is that you are feeling, allow yourself to feel it, but also allow yourself an outlet to be able to say, I need to write this down. I need to scream it into a pillow. I need to have a friend who had a sledgehammer and a cinder block in his garage, and that was his way, because he was a photographer, so he didn't feel like he had the words, but he could smash, and he didn't want to smash anything obviously that was important or valuable or, you know, anything like that. He didn't need to harm something. He just needed a place to let out that frustration, and so he would smash the cinder block and then get another one. Whatever it is that's your outlet, find one, have one. I've often wondered about kickboxing, but then I know my joints are so fragile after all the years of me beating the crap out of them. But what can you do to allow yourself to release? Is it screaming? Is it, and I have a swimming pool, so I'm very grateful for that. I try and swim, you know, at least every other day. And I will go under the water and, because no one can hear you really under there. And that's helpful too. But journaling for me is a tremendous outlet, because I can write whatever the hell I want, and no one's going to read it, and it's nobody's dang business anyway, and I can say whatever I want to whomever I want, and that is very freeing. So I do have journals for many, many things, and actually got a new journal for something else yesterday. So, all right, so we have Kuan Yin reminding us to be compassionate. Interesting. So I have to look this one up. So we're again using Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle card. This is Imrama. And it says, Where are you being called to journey to? And I love this. I'm gonna look it up in the book because I don't remember what the word Imrama means, but I don't need time playing in my garden. It's 1,000 degrees outside here. So my squash, my one lone squash was eaten by worms. It's very sad. But we really enjoyed growing it, and the squashes were really suffering in the heat. So I know we'll do better with the squash in the fall. My carrots, we have our first carrot. We had, and my broccoli is doing well, and the tomatoes are kind of coming to the end of their cycle. But the lettuce greens, we've been having several salads with the lettuce greens. So my garden is still doing well, but I got to tell you, it's about 106 outside with this Saharan air layer coming through. And so more time in my garden is not what I'm looking for this week. but soon. Claudette, overwhelmed. And so we do have our meditation, our group meditation on Wednesday night, right here on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And it's usually about 30 minutes because I want to teach you to meditate. So our meditation time is actually a little bit short. I'd like to start expanding that, but it's about learning to meditate and teaching you to meditate. So Claudette, if you need some help with that, we'd be so delighted to have you join us on Wednesdays. And I know Elias does a lot of live meditations, but if you are struggling with how do I, and because I know a lot of people have questions, and meditation can be hard, and we get hard on ourselves, we judge ourselves, and we're not compassionate to ourselves with meditation, right? And so having a place where we can learn to meditate with other people, because so many people are like, just breathe. And I think it needs a little more training than that. And I think if we can't do something quickly and easy in this society, our instant gratification society, we just give up on it. And I don't want you to give up on meditation. I think it's so important. I want you to be able to learn, because it's so helpful in so many places. And for so many reasons, that it just helps you hear your higher guidance and connect with your soul and your guides and so many things. And so I if you are called to meditate, please come back here on Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern and join us so that we can meditate together, and we'll teach you how. Okay, so Imrama, where are you being called to journey to? The Celtic word Imrama means journey of the soul, a voyage on which we don't know where we are going, but our soul knows the way. So if you pulled this card, you're either being called on a soul journey or you're already on one. Well, there you go. Okay. So no wonder I couldn't quite put what am I supposed to tell you about this? Because we are being called on a journey, and clearly, a lot of us feel like we're not really sure where we're going, and that can feel extremely ungrounded. And it's okay. It's okay to feel ungrounded. So, of course it's okay, because here comes Anna, the grandmother of Jesus, and she shows up at least once a month. I think she shows up. She is a sign. It says, seeing the light, laying foundations for the divine plan. So Anna shows up to remind us that everything is okay, and that even though we are struggling and we are having hardships and challenges and things going on, that we are still going in the right direction. So anytime Anna shows up, I am relieved, because she reminds me that all the drama and the knots in my stomach and the things that are just giving me agita right now, that everything that's part of the transformation. It's part of the journey, because a lot of the times, like, we get and we think, am I going the right way? And so I think back to like the GPS system. When you get in your car and you put your GPS, so yesterday I went to my friend's house. She's an amazing artist here in town. You've seen her work. She's got books in Michael's. She teaches all kinds of amazing things, and she's got books and books and books on end caps at Michael's craft stores. She's amazing, and so I picked up a couple of books from her yesterday and some signed prints, and had a lovely visit with her and some time. And I've been to her house so many times, and into her beautiful studio, and we've worked together as a medium, and just been friends for years. And every time I go to her house, I need the GPS system, because I can't remember where the heck she lives, even though I've been there a bunch of times. So I put the address in the GPS system, and I have total confidence that the GPS system will get me to her house, even though I don't know where the heck I'm going. And that's the universe. The GPS system of the universe will get us where we're going, even though we have no idea. We may have no idea where that is. And so that's what Anna reminds us, is that we are on the right track, and Imrama is reminding us that we are being called to something better. We are being called to something greater than ourselves. And so the next card is, again, the ever unfolding rose. And I feel like this one comes up a lot as well. And this one I think came up in protection. So it says, cracked open, it's happening for you and not to you. And I love that saying, that we remind ourselves that the things that are going on are happening for us. The universe is moving things for us. Eli didn't get this job at the first escape place because that was not the right job for him. So it happened for him that he did not get the job, so that something better could happen for him later. And so it is so important that we remember that things are happening for us. And so this one came up in alignment, it's upside down, which for me is not to forget that we are moving in the right direction, that things are unfolding, and that it isn't always easy to know that things are happening for us and not to us, and that be reminded that everything that's happening, goes back to, you know, the pony and the horse poo, that when we're surrounded by the horse poo, there's got to be a pony in there somewhere. And so just to remind ourselves that, don't forget that there is a pony in there somewhere. So we have compassion with Kuan Yin to remind us to be, I'm trying to move myself to the side so there I am. So I can put me in the cards and not be like all like this. So to have compassion for ourselves, because we really are, it is okay for us to feel all the feels and to allow ourselves the time that we need to heal, the time to process, to write, to yell, to smash, to swim, to sit in silence, to meditate, whatever it is that you are feeling, acknowledge it, release what's not yours, okay? Acknowledge it, and then be able to name it, release it, write about it, whatever it is that is going to be helpful to you as you move forward. And so with Imrama, we remind ourselves that we are headed in the right direction. We are being called to a higher purpose. Our soul is calling us to a higher purpose. Where that is, maybe you know, maybe you don't know yet. But know that Anna is with us to help guide the way, that she will always be keeping her wisdom and her guidance like a gentle nudge to push us back in the right direction, that Anna is always with us, and that the ever unfolding rose, to remember that it is happening for you and not to you, but that whatever it is that's happening for you, it is the right thing, even if it doesn't feel like it. And so again, we come back to that, the two little boys. Are you going to be the boy sitting in the corner, or the child sitting in the corner saying, this is a room full of horse poo? Or are you the child that dives into the horse poo going, this stinks, but there's got to be a pony in here somewhere? So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for sharing some time with me today. Thank you for listening to me share, to vent, to ramble, to share with the cards. I want you to know how much being part of our community of light means to me. I want you to know I thank you. Please follow me on Facebook. If you like this video, share it with your friends. I have a YouTube channel. I have an Instagram. I'm not as active on Instagram, but we are working to get our community of light to 700 people, and I will give away more free readings at that point. If there's another tag and share, if you share this and tag a friend who likes our page, then I'm giving away free readings, and your name will go into a drawing for that as well. I want to thank you. I had no idea when we started this page, I don't know, 4 years ago, 4 years ago, that it would turn into something that would be so powerful to bring so many people together for such wonderful communication, and just to be part of something positive in the world. And I am very honored to be any part of that. So I thank you for joining me. I thank you for being part of our community. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. I am going to be going live a little bit more. I want to start doing some workshops. Elias and I are going to sit down and talk about our schedules so we're not stepping on each other and we're not making people choose between who they're looking at. We want to make sure oh, hey, Doris. That's the beauty of it, Claudette. You can go back. But we want to make sure that we're not stepping on each other. We want to coordinate our schedules. But I do want to start getting some workshops out there. So if you have questions about different things, please message me or put them in the comments or something. I would love to hear what kind of things you would like for us to talk about, or you'd like for me to talk about. I know Elias and I don't always have the same perspective on things. So if he's doing a workshop, that's great. But I want to make sure that that we're moving forward one step at a time for me to be able to get my online classes ready and get them set out for you all. I'm so excited for those to be coming your way. So until next time, but thank you for participating. Thank you for being here. Like, share, tag, post, all those things, and subscribe, and we will look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much. Mwah. Thanks, Robin.